Oh, when that music started. Oh, it was I haven't heard that in I felt like ages.
Yeah.
It feels so good. It feels so good to be back.
Yes, wawa nui everyone. And welcome to our next episode of the Blackbird Oracle. It's been a moment. It's been a moment.
Feels like many years.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Wawa nui Felicity. Huna kawa manato. They're over in Cornwall, and wawa nui to Huna Marari in Vancouver. Many blessings to all of you who are live with us, and many blessings to everyone who's going to watch the replay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is not our usual time slot.
No,
but it's all good. Yeah, we're just.
It's beautiful to be on a day of the celebrated one.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, and there's Felicia. It's good to see you. It's been a very emotional week for you. Wah, 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 wah. Yes.
Yeah, this past week has been very intense for sure.
Oh, yeah. Very
It's
much.
been like that for me as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Wawa nui Nanette, Huna Manakori from Colorado. Wawa. Yes, so we have quite some ground to cover today.
Yeah, we do. Our last time that we were live was the last Sunday of December.
Wow.
And during that episode, we did a review of the December events, talked about the oracle reading that we had done prior, and then we talked about January and what we were both picking up on. Kahase, he always does a live card reading during these episodes, and I show the geometries and share what the Wairu at the Eternal Memory is saying to me through my keyboard. Yeah, maybe it is maybe the planets. We were just talking before we got on. The Schumann resonance was really weird looking yesterday, and I think there is a parade of planets going on today, I think. And the HUNA has also arrived on the planet because March starts tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's a big shift, definitely. And it's just been, a very initiating week. That's what I felt in my own human experience over here. Facing some emotions for sure that presented themselves as opportunities to open even more, to open my heart even more, and that was very intense and very interesting. And as it was yesterday and today, things have been starting to clear and to reveal themselves in terms of what that all was about. And it's just interesting, considering that we are close to a new moon as well and all of that. So it's just all aligned. And then looking at the Schumann resonance, was no surprise that I was having a migraine yesterday. High frequencies. And we are really going through a wild ride in terms of that. Yet, our brain cannot really pick up on how many valleys and peaks we are taking each moment, because it's just the frequency is just increasing so much. And I had that realization. Yeah, I knew that yesterday. And when I had a conversation with another HUNA on her podcast, we spoke about that. And and at that moment, I didn't even know about the Schumann resonance. So when that was shared to me today, I was like, whoa, okay. Everything's again falling into place. Yeah. So looking back at January, I remember that you had shared that it was about the turtle and the rabbit.
Yes.
And do you remember the title that we picked for that show? It was The Quantum Leap leaping into January.
Yeah, the tortoise and the hare, yes. So in the geometry structures, for those that might be newer to the channel and maybe they're seeing us for the first time, you will get to see these images. I'm going to share them in a moment. There are the 12 Lemurian birth signs, and they create a totem pole structure where they're all supporting each other, and they have different layerings. So they're not always going to sit in the same sequence. And anybody that sits towards the top are the very prominent energies in that moment. And the two most prominent energies for January was the hare, which makes sense because that's January's birth sign. We call that the Hea. But there's also Honu, my birth sign, which is the turtle. So when I looked at that, that was what came to my mind, the story of the tortoise and the hare. And what that said to me was that there was going to be major and very quick quantum moves that require the eyeballs of the turtle to navigate. I'm just reading this from my download that I put out. There was a number sequence of 639, which has come up for us since then. That was gifted from the Wairua. And what the ancestors said, now I speak this way, but what the ancestors said was, quantum shenanigans of the highest regard, full speed ahead, hold on to your butts. And again, those are their words, not mine. And we were to look for movement in the financial space, including crypto and meme coins. That was what I had in my reading.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of, what we know took place in January, what the ancestors shared was very interesting. Yeah. Full speed ahead, hold on to your butts. And we all do have to hold on to our butts in terms of, we need to have, how can I say that? But we really need to have to look after ourselves and to kind of stay focused with everything, with the wild storm that just, happened. And I do remember that in my own experience of everything. Looking back at the story of the turtle and the hare, it was the quantum leap energy was very, very much potently felt in the potentialities and in the space. But then it was almost like the turtle was saying, no, steady, strong and steady, one pace after another, like one step after another. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't jump ahead of yourself. But still, in terms of how the energies felt, it was really like, I gotta, but it was like, nope, there's no need for a sense of urgency. There's no need to stress about this. Stay focused with the main current, like with the energy that's at the center of it all. Stay focused there. Stay with the 0 point. Stay focused on that, and expand that energy. That's what I felt. So the turtle, in that regard, was really leading me in my own process. And, I'm looking back on that in that way right now. And I can see it that, it was telling me, okay, just take your time. Like, no need to rush. You don't need to make every decision right now. The decision will come, and then in that moment, you will be ready to make it. And you will know what's the right choice. You will know what's the right decision and what's the right course of action. So yeah, that was huge. And apart from that, what else was there?
Well, there was your card reading we were discussing before this as well. I don't know if you want to get into that yet.
Yeah, we can but I need to be reminded. It's like,
yes.
I'm just, in the way.
The turtle will guide you.
Thank you.
So in that reading, and I don't have an image to show, unfortunately, I did take note of the order of the first 4 cards. The first card that was pulled was Inner Guidance. The second card was the Blackbird, so our show's namesake. The third was the Wairua. The fourth was the Silence.
Okay, so I mean, with those 4 cards, it's already big in terms of, you know, looking at what took place. And I do remember we spoke about this already before we jumped live. But, you know, my brain is kind of like not fully there at the moment. Of course, the Silence in terms of the 0 point energy was just huge. And it entered, and it has not left ever since. It's like this is now our reality. This is what we are coming to realization with, that we are expanding that. What we experienced initially, you know, when the great 0 point entered. And then also the first card, the Inner Guidance, of course, you know, the initiation into the path of truth and transparency and leadership, because I remember that we spoke about that too, that this came up. The voice of truth with the Blackbird and the Kakamotu, the frequency of truth, like kind of connected to this color. You can see it better here in the light. Was already felt and experienced big in January. And I do remember that I already had a moment where I could feel that energy come in December. And I do remember that we spoke about Andromeda, Medidinua Dinua Mana.
Yeah.
And oh, thank you. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, and the Inner Guidance, and yes, the dragonfly being extremely strong and resetting our energy systems and helping us to reset our, let's say, inner stargates to fully align to clarity and the path of transparency and truth, to step into leadership, and to step into the way of the whale and the dolphin. And it's interesting that we're now looking at this card also. That's the round card at the bottom right, the one that's hard to see, but that's the card that's connected to the energy of the seed. And just today, I had this energy come in, connecting to me. And I know that the energy of the seed that has been planted is expanding at full speed ahead. So we are really in the time of spring. We are in the time of dawning, and to now look at, you know, all of this in remembrance of, you know, that this was the reading for the month in which Mauta passed, is extreme. And also the energy of the firefly, the one that's having the fire inside, and that's creating the fire inside, that is always with the fire, always with the first intention, with the true intention, is big. And the codes, can you maybe zoom in again a little bit? So I see the ko, I see, oh yeah, the maki. Oh yeah, that was the big one. I remember now, that was the big message of te maki, all in balance. And I do remember that when the 0 point entered, and I remembered this reading, I was like, whoa, it took place. Equalization took place. And that was huge. And then the Sarai, the one that's in the lead, initiating us into what we truly are, which is sacred balance. And this is what we're still stabilizing in. We are still stabilizing the balance. We are still guaranteeing this in this moment. And I'm super curious to see what we will have to look at for the month ahead.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some other notes that I had taken. So reflecting on how you lead yourselves, embracing balance and unity consciousness, and it includes navigating the process, not navigating the paradoxes, and to trust the process. And there was an emphasis on free will and choice. And the card suggested an opportunity to embrace the offered energies and align with truth and leadership.
Yeah. And that was what was experienced, definitely by me. In my whole experience in Mexico, this was there. It was present. And especially also this, that theme of truth and transparency. And it's continuing to be very present in terms of recognizing myself, what that means and what that takes, especially in the human connection. And that it is huge. And also again in the conversation that I had yesterday, and I do have to say this is very true. The HUNA, which was, by the way, HUNA Waharina, here from Germany, said we're right now at the most confronting times. Like everything is confrontation. And this is very true. And this is connected to this because I do remember that I had shared, I don't remember which exact month, but there was this demand in the energies by the dragons. You remember that I had shared about this? The dragon energies demanding something. Like there was a demand in the air.
That may have been the month before. That may have been our episode at the end of November, because I don't think it was December's. Yeah.
No, it was not in December, but I do remember that it was connected to December. And it feels like that this is the demand that it's now being played out. Like the dragons are no longer accepting anything less than the path of truth. So this is now where everyone is being challenged within themselves and with each other. And everything is coming up. Everything is coming to the surface, and there is no hiding anymore. Like that's no longer possible. And it's very interesting because, I arrived back in Germany and I had this feeling of course, that I wanted to just be safe and I wanted to be taken in, and I just had moved earlier in the year from one apartment to the other. And my old apartment, I always called it my cave. It was a snuggly little place. It was very comfortable and cozy. And but now I arrived back in this house, which is very different energetically and still in work in progress. And I found myself after a few days back in Germany yearning for this cave. And it was not there. There was no longer the possibility for me to retrieve back into the old. That was no longer possible. So the only way that we can go is forward. And I think that's very interesting, that, no hiding anymore. We dismantled the dragon cave.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
You're out in the open now. Deal with it. And it's challenging for, I think, probably each one of us in their own very way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the topic of revealing, this brings me over to feke feke.
Mm.
And there was another piece from the January card reading where we were talking about the finances, because the finances came through for me to keep an eye out on that. And the feke came through for you also in that way. And you, I think you remember a little bit of what you were talking about with that. There's a lot happening at once, but there is a financial aspect that we're familiar with.
About the centralized and decentralized at the same time, which brought us also over to the topic of integrating the paradoxes and walking that, which is again connected to the balance, walking the path where you are very aware of both extremes and where you are standing in the middle of that, in full recognition of both extremes and where they can go and what their possibilities are, and staying in the neutral. So this is also what I feel what we are practicing, what we are remembering in terms of how is that done, because we've never experienced it. The thought of it is one thing, the idea of it is one thing, the experience of it is a full nother thing. So right now we are going through a huge education and initiation when it comes to neutrality and equality. And that's still ongoing because this is huge, and it's not something that's just done like this. We'll see. We can even ask the cards about, how long is this going to take? How long is this?
Yeah, that would be an interesting question. I'm going to stop sharing that. In terms of where did you go? There it is. I'm going to show quickly the geometries of January. There they are. Number 8 and number 10 as the tortoise and the hare. So everything is coded to New Zealand. So these are the New Zealand days. So here on Turtle Island, where I am, it was the 5th for the day of the traveler. And that was the day that the grandmothers gathered.
Yeah.
And when Mauta went into the hospital. And there was
That's
a very,
true.
very strange moment of.
And you know what I'm seeing right now? You have the 5-pointed star in the center of that. You remember what we spoke about the 5-pointed star on that day as well? Because the 6th of January is also in Hamburg or in Germany or in the northern Celtic regions, but specifically here in Germany, the day where an ancient nature spirit, she's a spirit that represents grandmother nature, Frau Holle, brings the blessings to the apple tree. And, you have the 5-pointed star in the center of the apple tree, which is connected to the physical, which is connected to the form. And we spoke about this, and it's interesting because there you can see it is inverted in the traveler. I've never seen that before, actually. And we had this geometry come up several times, and right now I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to go back through my notes. Maybe we've seen it pointed upwards at least once before, but it's usually flipped. The first time that it ever came through, it was flipped the other way. And the name the traveler was actually gifted by Mauta. That's what he called it. So this was the moment in which he entered the hospital. And there was a lot of weird things that happened for some of us HUNAs that day. I had gone grocery shopping with Takuhara, and we got back, and he parks the car, I go to open my door, and there was the brightest and quickest flash of light, and we look at each other like, what the hell was that? Was that lightning? And then big thunder came from the west. Like just like a wide swath of the west. And it's one of those things where the thunder doesn't match the amount of the lightning. And it was the weirdest thing. And that was on this day.
I do remember that you told us about that. Yeah. Wow.
And then this was the 7th on Turtle Island. This was the day that the fires started in Los Angeles.
The 7th and the 8th. You mean, was it the same geometry on the 7th as well?
I don't know about the 7th because this is the 8th in New Zealand, so it was the 7th for us.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were, I say it with quotes, a day behind. So this was the geometry for the whole planet when the fire started. And this, I don't have everybody listed here, but this is 7. There are 7 different motu, and each one has 2 star constellations with them. So there's a lot of energy just in this one layer. So when there's 6, we call it a dragon ride. When there's 7, it's a dragon ride and then some. And what I had written in my download was this could suggest a bigger movement of energy than what we saw at the end of December, and it's coming from the internal. And I think maybe the Fatura was down on this point. Like the Fatura is really in the lower layers at this time of year and sometimes in the 0 point. And I think that was a 0 point for the Fatura. Actually, let me actually have it right. Do I have it? Yep. He was definitely in the 0 point on these. This was the 10th on Turtle Island. So this was the day that Mauta transitioned.
But how come that this was the 10th? Oh, because it was the 11th on the. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So we're just a day behind.
And there you have the 6-pointed star in the geometry.
Yeah, with the Kopanui in the middle. Again, there's the Fatura down here. I just don't have him listed. And I think that was that another? Let me zoom out a little bit. So I think that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, that was a dragon ride energy. Because there's 6 in that layer, and there's his motu. The Tirani is number 9.
Yeah. But I do remember that the 7th, where the extra spicy dragon ride came in, I do remember the energy of that day. And I do remember how challenging it was for me. And then, later on that day, I decided to get to Mexico. So that was when fire was lit under my ass. And that has, that fire has not gone out ever since. And when I had all of a sudden to move very quickly. And that makes a lot of sense. Wow. Just from my personal experience, speaking from that, of course. And this is also interesting, considering that the Koponui is at the center of the 6-pointed star. Just in terms of what I felt, that Mauta went into Maita and became one with Maita, which is right there. And then traveling back into the womb in a way, traveling back to what his position and his sacred pillar was aligned to, because he was aligned to Tona, or is. He's still aligned to that. So that's very interesting that we're seeing that in this way. Do you know where the hummingbird was sitting? That would have been the 8th, right? So at the top.
Hummingbird was down here on the dragon ride level. Yeah, right. With all of the others that were in that. Who else?
Is the 8. Yeah. So
yes.
The hummingbird was one of the 6. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And then the father, the forest giraffe, is also in this, hanging out. Now this would have been the 12th in Playa, and the 13th in New Zealand. This is another extra spicy dragon ride. This is 7 here on this layer. So that was the Unrata for you in Playa.
Mhm.
And what were you doing on that Sunday after we got him out to
We
care
were
for him?
we were in ceremony, washing his body and tending to his body and honoring his physical vessel, preparing him for the fire that he would enter the next day.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because you can see the shape that is between the 1 and the 8. So between the Koponui and the He'a is actually the shape that you have present in his birth geometry.
Aha.
You know, the one that I already asked you about last week, like that I would like to
Mm-hmm.
dial more in. What is this particular shape
Yeah.
about? Like, what do we understand about it from the Lemurian aspect? Like this, the two triangles merging like this together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's connected to the crystal, but there's more for us to discover with this. But it's interesting that it is showing up like this on this day.
Yeah.
Because it was very much about honoring the crystal, you know, honoring the physical, honoring the physical manifestation. Yeah.
And you notice who's down here in the 0 point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness. This was the 17th for you, and that would have been the Unara Toho, the 17th. I'm not remembering what was going on that day. That was the first Friday after he passed.
I don't remember either. I don't know. Maybe it was that I went into the egg on that day. I don't know. It could be. Was either that one or 2 days later. I would have to look it up, but it's interesting because you can see the energies are shifting. That was on the enter. You can see how the geometries are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And energetically, I think we all do remember that there was a lot going on. Like we had this 0 point, and then all of a sudden, a lot of energies came up. Lots of confrontational energies came up into the field. At least that's what I experienced.
Yeah. I will write this note down so I don't forget.
I will have to look up what took place on that exact day, but it would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a Trinity. So that's something that we know in our studies of the motu and the structure that they make in the circle, and they make different shapes. And one of the shapes that they can make is a triangle. We call them trinities. And there is a trinity that I highlighted here of the falcon, the fatura, the tuatara, the smiling gecko, and okapi, the forest giraffe. They actually form a trinity in the Wataka. And the energies of number 3 and number 7, they can be, every energy can be challenging in its own way. We are in the human, and there's a lot of distortions that go on. But these two in particular, number 7 and number 3, can be challenging in like an extra challenging way. The falcon is able to see through to the distortions. It's got a very clear eyesight. That's not something that a lot of people like having seen about them, because they're just not in the space to receive that, and they might take it personally. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just is what it is. The number 7 with the okapi, this is the benevolent structure and the support of the father. And there's a lot of people in this world that have their relations with the father, including myself, that would feel really challenged when approached with this energy that's just trying to help you, to say, hey, there's something to look at. Be in this space of contemplation and look at everything that you're doing. And there's some things that have to change. There's also nothing wrong with that. But again, being in the human experience, some people are just not able to receive that in that moment. And then on the other side of the triangle is the smile. Yamamoto would say at times that probably the most powerful medicine in the cosmos is the smile. And then when I'm looking at these three, I realize, wow, for the Tuatara to sit in a trinity with these two says a lot.
But we also know that, you know, the smiling gecko comes also with the kutiaki energy.
Yes.
So it comes with a lot of trickster energy as well, and with a lot of
Face to face
triggers. A lot of triggers. It's probably the
Yes.
energy that triggers the most.
Yeah.
Especially because of the smile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a face to face, like coming face to face with yourself, for instance, and actually taking a good hard look at what's really there.
And you know what came to me, what I heard before we went live, before you and I met. I sat down and I could hear in my inner brain, like in my brain, the message: there are no more masks. Like the masks are no longer there. There is, you know, as I've said, the dismantling of the dragon's cave. There is no opportunity to hide anymore. And this is why maybe some of the energies are running in circles, because they're trying to just escape somehow. But they do not find any escape, because the masks they evaporated. They just dismantled themselves. They are no longer accessible. And it's interesting that we're speaking about this right now, this face to face. And also, you know, the face of father is extremely powerful. Which the Okapi demonstrates. And I do know from firsthand experience with having a sister that is Okapi Motu and holds a lot of father light, how challenging that energy can sometimes be in terms of, no, I'm not taking any BS. And it's in a way, yeah, there's again this energy of the demand that is being betrayed, and that's being expanded and just being experienced. That's what I feel. Yeah.
So I'm making some notes as we go through and try to recall the other things that were going on in those moments of these other days. So this was the inauguration in America.
Oh, right. That took place as well.
Yeah. And this is where the geometries, if I zoom out a little bit, there's little tweaks, but it's the same structure. And this does happen sometimes. Sometimes the days are really different, and sometimes it's just going through all the same. And I was getting this feeling of, we're about to come in for a landing. We only need small adjustments to the navigational system of our waka, to our dragon, because we're going to land. Like it's right there. We can see land.
Yeah. And I also had like this message come through that was already earlier. No, that was already last week, where the energy of this smile was very present. And I remembered, you know, Maoto would often say, smile, you're in a dragon ride, or smile, you're in a eclipse. And last week I was hearing, smile, you're receiving your dragon. You know, and this is really what's taking place. Things are landing. Like now it's happening. Beautiful. Do you feel that we are ready to jump into February, or is there anything more that you have to share?
The last one I don't know if you remember the day that you sent him on his waka back home, because he is back home in New Zealand, and I'm not
I
recalling
don't remember the exact day. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it was it must have been around the 21st, 22nd. So it was
22nd. I actually just found it.
Yeah.
So it was within this geometry. So we were already within the field of that structure of the dragon, the white dragon, because Tanimaro went with him, leaving to go home, and he landed It was Sunday for them.
Yes,
it was
I
the
do think it
28th.
was. Yeah.
It was the 28th, so it was it may still be the structure here.
Yeah. He definitely made it home within January.
Yeah. Wow.
And I mean, yes, Tanimaro, the Toko Toko went with him, but the Toko Toko, the staff, was an extension of him. So he is, the white dragon was his is aligned to his energy, still is. The white dragon is very much present with us. So yes, they went full circle back home to be greeted by his family.
You know what? I may have actually. Yeah, the structure is a little bit different. I don't think I have this in here. I had it in the download that I had put out. Here, you know what? I'm just gonna. It's not going to be the pretty version. This is the one that I make that's print friendly, so it's not taking up a lot of ink for people at home. But I will share this dragon ride. The dragon landed.
Mm.
And then there's the upside down traveler again.
Mm-hmm.
Hui. Crazy, crazy. Yeah. Well, that's all I have for January.
Beautiful. Thank you. So that were the Maita energies.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow. Quite big to look back on all of it. It's like, wow. How everything was already present within the energies. Already when we looked at it the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have, if you want me to show it, I have the video that you had made for the HUNAs of your February oracle reading. It's like 6 minutes. So we
Do you
can
want to
share.
share that first, or you want to go into the geometries? Maybe we just continue with the geometries.
Okay.
Because we've just looked at the geometries, so maybe it's nice to just continue with that.
Weave it.
Weave it together.
I like it a lot. Okay. So going to do that. I'm going to click this button to show you pretty things. Here we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is the first time I'm getting to show this on YouTube because we did not get to do a show in February. We did take that month off. The dates are a little bit different. I'm going to zoom out really quick and just I'm going to point to two things without going too deep in the weeds, because they're like those of us that really know the workings of the Lemurian system might have an understanding of what this is, but I'll stick with this is Sunday and this is Saturday. So there is a deeper there is a deeper connection that I was called to go into, which is what I was called to in the beginning when I started doing these geometries. I started doing these a year ago, showing them on the show. And the invitation that Mauta gave me was to just do the 1st and the 28th and then do some things in between. And now the invitation is to shift it back to what I was called to in the beginning and go with Sunday and Saturday as those 2 anchor points. And then there's these time frames in between it. There is a structure that reveals itself. I did decide to name it the other day, and I'll get into that a little bit later. That's why the days look a little bit different. Now, I didn't say, hey, this is exactly what's going on. I just went and did it. I really forgot to say anything when I first released it. But there are quite a number of people that do work with these every month as the download. And at some point, I would love to get some feedback from you guys on what do you feel with this adjustment of the structure from what you had been working with before. So that's my little spiel about this. So March is also going to look, the numbers will look different, but there is a set structure that this is connected to.
So the structure or this alignment is connected to the light calendar, right?
Yeah, there is a deeper alignment into the light calendar. It's like a transition out of, and we do this a lot with how we speak to things with the Lemurian, because these two systems are so different from each other. And it's this journey of transitioning and reconnecting everything bit by bit, so it's not so jarring, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. It's just a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time, and then we settle in a little bit more. And again, this is in so many different ways, I get taken back to that message of you just need to change a little bit. There's just a little bit of an adjustment to make for the waka, and that's what this is.
And can you share if this adjustment also included an adjustment for the enter and return, or are those energies still the same?
It did. The enter and the return. So the return is always on a Friday for a certain number of days. And then actually, I think I have it written here. The return, it's from the Toho to the Paka. So that's Friday to Wednesday. And then, hold on. Yeah. And then the enter is the Paka to the Rehu. So thinking of it that way, that's the Wednesday to the Monday. So on the very, very outer ends of the enter and the return are the dolphin and the whale. It's very interesting putting it together in that way.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And then this here is kind of like a midpoint, the apex, as it were. So as we go through this deeper structure that's in the light calendar, there's an ebb and flow of the energies, and the energy, it comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes, and
I do feel that I now understand how the moon comes into play. It just clicked.
Yeah.
Because I remember that you and I even remember a conversation with Mauta about the moment of enter and return, and that I was confused because there's also a moment of enter and return within the moon cycle.
Yeah.
And it just clicked in terms of that we can observe by looking at the enter and return moment in terms of the day, and then looking at the moon and what the moon is sharing about what kind of energy we can look at. This is sharing about what is, if there's ebb or flow within the enter or return. So at which type of energy or which kind of energy we can expect in those moments. So this is very interesting because now it just clicked together. And I do remember that Mauta said, Fiona, because I was like, I don't get this, because I work like this with the calendar and you work like this with the calendar. And I was like, but why is this so, like, why is it always on the same day? Because the moon is like always changing and shifting. So now with you sharing about the whale and the dolphin, I knew that this alignment, it's correct. And now the moon just clicked in, and this is now revealing a lot of sense. Bringing a lot of answers. Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So these alignments were just what we were waiting for, or what I was waiting for.
Yes, this is kind of what I wanted to do in the beginning, and
I get it.
Yeah.
We know how Mauta worked. We know how we worked in terms of just keep it like basic for now, but sometimes keeping it basic or not going into it right away also create a little bit of confusion. But then also confusion, as I remembered, is just an invitation to go deeper. So this is what we did.
Yes.
Okay. And now we went even deeper, and we can unpack more of what this gift has to offer in terms of cosmic navigation. Wow. Okay. We'll talk about this some more after the show.
Oh, yes.
I want to get into this.
Oh, yes. So the reading that I
Yeah.
had for this month. Now, when I go and connect to these energies and I do my reading, I connect to the white aura, and it was very different this time. I
Mhm.
do when I do each set of geometries, I always post it on my Instagram, and I just post one of the geometries and share what the general message is. And there wasn't much to say. There wasn't much in the energies that I was getting. It wasn't very it was a little different for March. Yes, they did feel different, but
Mhm. Very
it
different. Yeah.
yeah, it was
Mhm.
very quiet when I tapped into
Mhm.
February, and I remember, and I told you this, that I
Mhm.
knew that I had to go get them done and put them out, but I just wasn't connecting with it, even taking the time to build these each of these when if I have to build them from scratch is 20, 30 minutes for every geometry,
Mhm.
and it just wasn't coming through. So I went and did the geometries, I made the structures, and then I went to go do the actual reading to and write everything out was the way to was saying to me. And I just remember staring out the window here because I was sitting over there on the couch, like it's just not coming to me. Okay, I'm going to turn this off, and then the next day it showed up,
Mhm.
and it the overall message, and this is a message that I see is going to continue for a time, for a number of moments, is don't forget your UMA. It's spelled
Mhm.
UMA, those of you that are not familiar with it. And this is talking about the physical human body. This is part of the Wataka. This is one of the star constellations of July, the talking bird, which is also the blackbird. And you take care of your physical body. There's a lot that's going to be going on. That's what I saw in the reading. Just take care of yourself. Go gather with your community if you can. You do this in honor of Mauta, and
Mhm.
go have a meal. And there is a quantum leap into the future. And this is the 7 and 12 here for the return. Quantum
I also
Okay.
just want to add something right away because you were speaking about the UMA. And I do remember that within the time of February, I had a deeper understanding of that light code come to me by taking apart the U and the Ma. You know,
Mhm.
the U is the frequency or the code that um, shares the knowledge of deepening, of going deep. Um, that's also why the ooh is the code that represents confusion. So
Mhm.
this is where I came from earlier. Ooh, it's just, deep, deep, go deep, deep. That's why the confusion is an invitation to go deeper, because by going deeper, this is how you can work with confusion. When you feel like, oh, there's something here, I'm feeling confused, just remember this is an invitation for you to go deeper. And then the uma. So what I recognized was that the uma energy is about taking the light, the first light, deep. This is of course connected to the physical, because the physical is representing the density. Density is also connected to depth, in terms of, when you go deep, it's getting challenging. It's like when you for those that are diving, when you go deep into the water, the deeper you get, the more you feel the pressure, the more you feel the weight of the water. So this is the type of feeling that I mean. And this is connected to density, because when you go dense, it's kind of the same feeling. And I did have experiences throughout this month where I was facing exactly those energies, like this feeling of the weight. And I just had that yesterday. I just shared that yesterday, that I could just feel the weight in my body. So this is all connected to the energy of the Uma and the Wairua that is entering our physical, and the initiation that comes with remembering the true human.
And you know what comes to my mind? The community aspect.
Oh yeah.
Now, with the talking bird is a very intelligent, cosmic intelligent creature with the ability to speak. Mauta had shared some time ago that the birds taught us how to speak,
Yeah.
and the energy, among many others, of the talking bird is about community.
Mm-hmm.
And
Kaka.
this is brotherhood, sisterhood.
Yeah.
And the other theme that we're getting, not just about the physical Uma, is everybody come together. The community comes together to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the another layer to this of the Uma coming through. And Mauta leaving, he's still gathering them at first light. There are Hunas that I know from before. I think Wa'ukuta, Hope, is, I think she's still here. I saw her comment earlier. I remember her from years ago, and she's popped back up. There's other Hunas from Singapore and other places that have popped back up after this. So they're he's doing it again. He's gathering everybody and pulling the community back together.
Yeah.
So this kicks off with a dragon ride. I think maybe this was a new geometry. Some of them are very similar. I don't remember offhand if this was new or not.
This geometry again reminds me of a basket, or maybe even a waka, like a sailing boat, or some that sort. It's like really interesting weaving there.
Yeah. And the eternal memories started giving me these little quotes. So in the download every month, there's a little quote that I write from the eternal memory, and it says, when the island rises, it will be epic.
With this one?
Yeah. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, well, the Honu is the biggest energy in here. 1, 2, 3, maybe
And
6.
I was just looking at the 10, at number 10 up there, and I was literally thinking that this feels almost like a rising star. And then you just said that. Like the energy that's like just up there.
Yeah. Led by the Honu, and we could say a lot of expressing is to take place that needs the navigational guidance of the Honu and the Kawa of the Honu, which is the whale and the dolphin. And this was let me make sure I got my dates right. This was 2 days before a revealing. Because remember, this is New Zealand time, so it was the first on Turtle Island. This was right before the revealing of just what's going on with the American taxpayer dollars. When the inauguration happened, they officially created Doge. And February 3rd, I researched this yesterday just to double check. February 3rd, which was Mauta's birthday, and I do have his birth geometries on his the time of his birth geometries on here for New Zealand and for Playa. The 3rd is when they started revealing something called the USAID. It's the U.S. Agency of International Development. And I don't even need to go through any list of things that they had revealed was apparently being funded by the taxpayer dollars. That it is a lot of really crazy and at times very not nice things.
Wow.
And it started on the 3rd. This is coming from Turtle Island. And just there's just more and more and more that gets revealed. The mask is gone.
Yeah. So just what I've seen. Wow.
Oops. So then here, quantum leap into the future. The He'a is positioned right behind the Tirani and the Honu. Again, it's like wakas, baskets. And this is where they said, don't forget your human body. because a lot's going to be happening, and it has been happening. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, this is also in between those moments. I arrived back in Germany here and was going through exactly that. You know, I was just experiencing a lot in my body. Yeah.
There's this one. I think this one may have come up before from a previous month. I think maybe it was flipped upside down. There wasn't much that came through, only to go to the water and receive the stillness. Again, the prominence
It
of
almost felt like a cup, you know. It almost felt like, yes, just receive the stillness, receive the water.
yeah. Then we go down to the intel. We have a door.
Yeah.
We have a door. It was the 18th here. And yeah. The door is here for you to open and receive what awaits you on the other side. And this had come up a few months ago. I think maybe it was in our first episode about the cinnamon, of using that spice to set the space and receive whatever the shiny gift is. That's a practice that I know. I don't know if it's done in the Celtic. I do know that it's done in the Hoodoo tradition of using cinnamon to work on the door of the house or work on the door of your room. Of course, it's not pet safe, as far as I know, at least for dogs. So you're going to be careful with that. And this one, I think in this one, when I had first showed this to you, your remark was, it looks like something is being lowered from above. And the quote from the Eternal Memory was, each moment, each eternal now is guaranteed. Oh, no, actually, I did write in here, the shape of the geometry gives the impression of something being lowered from above. And so we asked the question, what is it? And that energy, everybody, as we sit here with you in this moment is the 28th here in our part of the world, that is the energy that already started on the planet. Because this is 11/11. It's already March 1st in New Zealand. We may already be in this structure now. And I don't know what time it is right now. I think it's really early.
Right now
morning.
It's 7 in the morning, around
All right,
7.
so 3 hours from now, so that's 12, 1, 2, 3, so about 3 my time in Chicago time. This is what we have. And up here, we have the 2 benevolent reptiles. And we have different aspects of sight. Like with the turtle, there's the aspect of the speaking, because this is the domain of the turtle in what we call Tengita, also known as the throat chakra. This is where the hummingbird and the turtle hang out. And this is their special domain. This is what they're really good at. And HUNA, to me at least, is the one that is able to navigate how to create the speech, to create the sound in order to navigate, because it can also see what's coming. It's got an oracle sight to it. So it's a little bit of a blend to me with that being. And then we also have the smiling gecko, who this is Tengaro, which translates, do you remember what that translates to?
Tanaro. It's Tanaro, and it is about the crystal eye.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So there's,
I don't remember the exact wording, but yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that we have these 2 benevolent reptiles that have this ability to see the unseen in order to navigate what you can't see, leading the way next to each other. And then in the middle is the other part of,
it's interesting because I had this coming up earlier this day, because my mother, she was getting a gift for my uncle, who is a HUNA. And it is a little a little memory card, like memory game that somebody like that she bought from somebody who crafted it. And it got all the pictures of the geckos and these types of animals on, because he just loves these animals. And then for a moment I was thinking, oh yeah, that's right, because it's his motu. And she was like, no, he has his birthday in March. And for some reason I thought it was April. So I already had this coming up that today, that it felt like, but they are one. Like it felt almost like, huh? They are one.
Is he
So
born
this
in?
is interesting. This is probably why.
Is he
This
born in late March?
13th.
Okay.
So right in the middle.
Cool.
But it's just interesting because I was wondering for a moment, like what was that feeling? So I was probably already feeling that energy.
Yeah.
Because it's already present on the planet.
Yeah. And what we have here was Mu'uta's birthday this year. 11/11 in New Zealand and 11/11 in Playa. This is not exactly the same. I'm going to flip back here for a moment. It's not exactly the same as this one. Yeah. It's similar, but there's more of a triangle here. And we have, of course, Honu leading the way. We have the Kopanui here in the middle. We have the He'a here and the Tirani here on the side. But over in Playa Land, I think you went to the island that day.
Yes, I went to the island that day.
Yeah. Right. There's this beautiful, when I look at these, it morphs so much because there's so many different shapes and geometries within. And just the other day, I had this experience with you. I was, for the first time, able to sense that, we have a point here, point here, point here, point here, point here, point here, and they're actually spinning. They're spinning around the center of the popo, of the totem pole.
Yeah.
But there's beautiful weaving here that I wanted to include in this, that we have a lot of the father and the falcon here within the main foundation. And then we have the toroa and the kahuku here, weaving up into the he'a and then up into the tengita and out through, led by the tuatara. And the only message... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The only message that came through, actually there was a quote, but the message was to gather with your communities for a meal when you're able to. And the quote was, "There is joy to share with everyone. You have so much to be grateful for. This is a time to celebrate."
Yeah, and it's interesting because there again, you can see the dragon, right? In the second one. It's almost like the energy was traveling and it was gathering things into the center. It feels like bringing things into the core. It's like bringing things into like being centered. You know what I mean with that?
Yeah.
Like looking at the second geometry, what you said, there's so much going on, especially in the center of it. But then you also have the 6 again sitting there. And it almost feels like, okay, we're bringing this inside.
Yeah.
And you know what Mauta always said about the haka? And the haka in a way is also the dance of fire, which you can also look at as a dragon ride. So it most definitely has dragon energy to it. So I've always connected those two. And it's almost like take the dragon ride inside. What is also being shown here, like take it inside. Get more centered. Interesting. Yeah. Beautiful.
Atamarie, that's Hasamatere calling in from the long white dragon.
Yeah, early morning for you, Wawanui,
Yes.
Grand Rising.
Right.
Yeah, so do we want to watch the video?
Yeah, we can watch the video. See what we have going on.
Yeah.
From the Lemurian Oracle.
Oh, I remember it was hard for me to go and look at the cards because I was like, no, I don't want to tap in.
Yeah.
So it's just this short one, improvised. So you're sharing it without the voice, right?
It's supposed to be playing. Hold on. Let me try something. Just a little pivot. And no, the deep state's not messing with it. It's just not set up correctly. Can I upload it? I just need to find it in my show files. Here we go. So I'm going to upload it. There we go.
Here I come to you with a reading for Tirani this upcoming month. The first card that revealed itself was this one. And I have to say that I've never pulled this card out of the deck before, never. In 3 years that I have used this card deck, it's the first time that this card is showing up. Yes.
Is there more volume?
The energies are very beautiful that are coming in this month. It is all about remembering this central point, this vow, this promise, this first fire that we all have in our hearts. It is a great opportunity for all of us to remember. I'm not going to go into the reading in such length as usually. I will share the most important messages, and I will share the energies with you. Again, we have this symbol of the Kaha showing up. It's been present with us over the last 4 months. Highly potent creation energy. And we have the balance of the Tinira showing up twice in lower and upper jaw. So it is a true activation of our voice of truth that we are experiencing, and that is coming to great expansion within this month. Nui ia wairua tapu ho fisara punamu. I'll repeat that. Nui ia wairua tapu ho fisara punamu. I can translate this in following words. We can expect a huge activation, a huge rush, flow of memory coming in from the upper jaw, or memory that is connected to the upper jaw, speech, movement, action of the dragon's jaw, or the movement, or the kako, the light language in movement, or light language in movement of energies, yes. It's a huge gift of the protector's light from the eternal memory of the sacred circle of eternal nows. And it is truly an anchoring in of the pillar of the civilization, which is the Ponamu, that offers higher frequencies to land fully within the fundament, within the, what do you call, the base stone, the foundation stone of the pillar. Here as well, a very important message, the medallion, the offering, the medallion, the gold, the abundance, the gold is present and the offer stands. If we do remember the vow that we have made, and if we come to the mountain that is the child, the eternal child, if we remember the ancient story that is creation, if we enter that castle of Maita fully, there's great potential for transformation, for big transformation within this month, for each and every one of us. And the unseen energies are looking at us with a very gentle gaze, looking at us, watching over us, presenting the offering, just being present within our space, gifting the opportunity for us to connect. This is what it is all about. This is what each and every one of us is invited to connect to and to remember. Everyone must ask themselves the question of what is the vow, what is the wish, what is that which is present within your heart. Is it from me here, from Playa del Carmen, sending you all so much love and wishing you all a beautiful Tirani Motu. Wawa nui from Kahasai.
That was the loudest I could get. I'm sorry.
All good. It was just a recording from my phone, so it had not the best quality to it.
And
What?
real quick,
Yeah.
February 1st was the recording.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that moment, but I did not fully remember everything that I shared within that recording. It was interesting to hearing it again, because that whole thing about the pillar and the base stone, I had a healing session with Mahari Wa'ata, and that was literally what I witnessed, what I felt. So I had a whole vision about that. And I was experiencing the weight of the pillar, being present within the base. That was a huge moment, energetically. Like, there was a lot happening, but this is just interesting that was already in the reading, and that I literally went through that experience. Quite literally, because I sat there, I could see up and I could see the structure of the pillar, which is connected to the torus field, of course. And then, there was a lot, but it's just, wow. So that was just blowing my mind, because I literally experienced it.
Yeah. And I know that the video was posted on the 1st, and I kept saying, I haven't gone and watched your video. I finally watched it yesterday. And I think that I was just reminiscing on how you and I work on this show, where we just kind of surprise each other, where I had February already done and put out before I even watched your video, and still, like, they're both connecting.
Definitely. Of course. They're just, these tools that we both work with, they are interconnected in the way that they reveal different layers of the weaving. And I do remember that I already, when showed me your geometries for the very first time, I do remember that I told you when I got the download for my card deck, and when that expansion happened in my brain right after my seal, I was seeing geometries. So I knew right away that this is somehow connected. So I know that these tools are here to assist us within our journey of remembering, of integrating our sacred wairua, and that these are tools that are teaching us, and they are interconnected, and they are communicating with each other. Even that's what I feel, because I know my card deck, they very much feel sometimes like they are talking, and sometimes they're also telling me, you got to do this now, or sometimes they are just very quiet and being very patient with me because they know that I'm not ready or whatever. So, and I do feel it's the same with your tool. And, looking at the upgrade that you just did and what that just revealed in this live, this is how it happens. And this is always how we've worked together, right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like that we bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
And we gift each other. And but for me, looking back at the card deck, I'm just, and I already said this in our talk before, like I'm just flabbergasted, like literally my jaw's on the ground in terms of how literal this experience was. Like I had forgotten my card reading. Usually I remember what I've shared, but just in terms of where my focus was these past months, I was just, okay, I'm getting it out there, and then it was gone. Like right the next day, I didn't really remember what I was sharing, apart from the vow aspect that was sticking with me very strong. And this is in a way, just tying in right to what Ma'uta's birth geometries were sharing. Like, go into the center, go into your heart, focus on what is there, focus on your heart, focus on the inner dragon ride, and witness what is there, witness what you can discover, witness what you find. Look for it, go look for it. That was the type of energy for this month. And then seeing how intense these upper jaw frequencies were. We've talked about it earlier at the beginning of the show, the Schumann resonance and all of that, what we just came out of, like literally yesterday. Finding ourselves now on the last day, like on the last moments of these energies. Wow. So that's the upper jaw. That's the it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot lately.
But it's not, it's like a lot of electric current coming in, like electricity coming in. A lot of electricity coming in, and just whoosh, electric charge just coming in such high frequency. Wow. And it's just flashing right through us, like flashing right down to the bottom, to the bottom of the pit.
Yeah.
That's the feeling. Wow. But I do feel that this flushing or this flashing, the flashing or the flushing, whatever you want to call it, was very much needed. And in terms of how I could observe the energies being released for myself, I could feel the energies coming from deep down, moving upwards, and then being released through up here.
Yeah.
Yesterday. And on Wednesday, I was actually the first time going to the 5 rhythms again, because usually I do enjoy going into the 5 rhythms and moving my body, working with the physical. And after that day, I was, having the migraines. And I knew that by moving my body, I, released something within the energies of my body, of my physical, that needed to be purged. And then it was clearing through up here, which is interesting because it's almost like, yes, the upper jaw initiated this and then it took it back. Like it initiated, Wairu initiated new frequencies and took the old ones out. So this movement was just very present. Yeah. How about you? Like how did the reading feel for you? Like when you looked at it yesterday, in terms of your own experience?
Very intense. There is a lot of intensity, a lot of things coming through.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, as the cards had shared in the message, Nui is big. So it was very big. It was a very big initiation. And then having codes like the Ra in there, which is the eternal now, which is continuing the initiations that already started within December, within the Okapi Motu, because it's, you know, it's connected to that action of unifying the field, coming into unity consciousness, which of course is connected to the eternal now, because in the eternal now, that's where the unity consciousness is present. So you can see like the energies are just continuing to be big. And what I feel like, don't expect this to get less. Like this is how we roll now. Come to acceptance with that this is reality now. This is what I feel. So our body is just catching up. Our physical is catching up with what our hearts and what maybe, no, the mind doesn't know it yet, but what our hearts already know. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Do we want to hit the break button and then
Yes,
dive into the new energies?
yeah. So we're going to run our promos, promote all of our HUNAs, and then we'll be back to have more chitter chatter. Now that we're back, we'll take a moment to greet the others who have joined us since we started. I see Hirimata just joined. She's going to catch up on the rest of it later, but she is live now with us.
That's cool. And
Yeah.
you know, we're just about to dive into March, so that's great. So you can watch the stuff on the other months in the replay.
And then Connie, don't remember your HUNA offhand, but you are here, and that is so beautiful. And Hasamatire and Frank, one of his first guides in physical as well in video was HUNA Flash. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, she joined us on Sunday. This is our Koha HUNA. This is Kata Makutu wa Koha. I'll get the hang of that at some point. There's Christina from Australia. And then we have Marane. She was saying that it's Mahashivaratri time in the Indian tradition. So there's a big churning up of blocks to come up and be transmuted. So everything's tracking.
Yeah, interesting. And that where is that comment? I don't see it right now.
You have to scroll up a little bit. It's
the blocks.
Diane Lanterman.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Time in the Indian. Yeah, you've been mentioning India before. So churn. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of releasing happening. That's just releasing timelines, releasing old attachments. That's the feeling. Returning it all back into Lemuria and remembering the true origin story. This has been coming up for some months, and I do think that Mahariwa Atta was the first one that shared this to me, and I said to her, yes, I was feeling exactly the same thing. I think she shared that about 2 or 3 months ago. So there's just something within the energies of this second half of this light year, where it is all about that aspect of the eternal Wairua increasing, like the flow of Wairua that's wanting to connect is just increasing. And this is not going to stop. That's what I mean. Just get to terms with that. Yeah. Okay, so what do you feel? Do we want to go into the cards first, or do you want to go into the geometries
We could do that. We were doing it the other way around for a bit, and I know you wanted to maybe change it.
Yeah, it's just interesting to switch it up, eh? And because we were looking into the cards just before, yeah, we can just change things up. Okay, so I haven't pulled cards, but let's do that now together. Whoop.
Oh, somebody jumped out fast.
Yeah. Looking at this one, haven't we spoken about this shape? We spoke about this shape earlier in the geometries. You remember? That it was within Mautu's birth chart. And it's also present within my birth chart. So there's something about this geometry that we really need to look into.
Yeah.
This card as well. I'm holding them in the hands right now because right now I'm not fully feeling the type of layout. But I do feel this one over here. The threshold. The mother. The tear. the child. And we had this already in February, yeah?
Yeah.
No, wants to go over here. And one more. Interesting.
What does that say?
That says apocalypse.
And what is the translation to English?
No, that's English. Apocalypse. Like apocalyptic energies.
Okay. That's what I thought. Just making sure.
Well, just making sure, yes.
Oh, gosh.
So there is more dismantling, more dissolving happening. I mean, we've already experienced some of that in February, didn't we? Like the feeling of things are being taken, like the undoing is just off the charts. Let's just put it that way. And it's like things are like some things are just crumbling. Okay. No, these ones. Okay. We're going into the big guns.
Oh.
Whoop.
Yep. Is it Wawa or Wana? That one.
Wana. Ah, Itingwa.
Ah. Tewa.
To. Marama. Tewana. Tewana. Help me out here, like my brain. Tewana. All. Tewana. Ah, yeah. So all vibration, frequency, energy. All energies. And the waters. Okay, the waters are coming over here, and then we have the whale over here, Kahu, the whale stargate.
Wow.
And there is something going on with the Marama Fitu, with the moon. And this is very interesting because of what we've just discovered earlier in this show about the moonlight. Okay. Wow. All of you want to come, okay? Lots of motus
It's so
showing
funny
up.
because Huna Cat said party time approaching already.
Mm-hmm. The owl.
Again? Oh.
Akbalam. Well, it's the panther, but, you know, it's also the jaguar. And it's just interesting in terms of just that energy, the bat and the moon. And then we have the mouse, the tarantula, and the frog. Oh, okay. So this card, we look at it and it says the shadow. Okay. But what do we see here? We see this shape that represents the light, that represents the undistorted light, the Nimarana. And then we have this crystal here that represents the shadow, or we can also say it represents distortion. That is the Niyana. These two come together, and in the center we see what I would say the unknown space. The unknown, like the space where depth comes from, where, you know, where depth is, or what, you know, the unknown space is depth itself. It's the space where we all come from. And it's almost like by reaching this space, this is how we can hold the the equality. This is how we step into neutrality, by fully surrendering and fully immersing ourselves into that space and returning to home, returning into Pa. And it feels like that this is what we are looking at. So this is what we are invited to do. And it feels like that within the divine feminine energies, or within the mother energies, there is another round of purification ahead of us, which is connected to these apocalyptic energies, and it is connected to the pearl. So to, let's just say, the sacred treasure that, you know, Mother is able to create. So we could look at the pearl in this moment as the sacred child. And there is another opportunity for us to purify energies that are keeping us in a, let's say, like in a time loop or in a energetic loop, which is connected to toxicity within the hormones, like the moons, like the horror moons, or something which is connected to the moonlight and the distortion that they've tried to place, like the confusion that they tried to bring, the manipulation that they tried to bring with the moonlight by attaching specific storylines to it, by even, you know, going and manipulating the moonlight literally, or the moon literally. I mean, there is lots of timelines here, but what I do feel is that that there is this opportunity to flush all of that out, like to really flush it. Like if we are seeing, like there is this water coming in, and this water is coming from the deepest depths of the unknown waters. Like this is coming from the ocean womb itself, flushing, washing us, cleansing us, cleaning us. So allow yourself to face whatever fears you have and take this opportunity. This is also why the tarantula is showing up, because it is a very triggering energy, and it holds a lot of potentialities to just get into fear. And it's in the name of all of these fears that this is taking place. It's connected to the teardrop. So the gifting of your waters. And there is this threshold moment within the energetic fields. It's kind of like a how do you say that in English? Like a make or break moment that we are facing. And it is in the name of all energies, and working with the waters, which could also mean like working with your own waters, like literally, like for the women that are listening, working with your cycle, working with your literal waters can be something of huge potentials in this moment, a huge potentiality for cleansing. This is also, the Black Panther is also connected to the mother's vessel, creating a huge opportunity for purification. And it's looking us right in the face, saying like, do you dare? But it's not showing up in order to challenge us in the way that we would receive challenge earlier. The challenge is showing up in order for us to take the invitation to deepen our knowledge about ourselves and to open up even more, to open our hearts, to open our space even more. And it's almost like Toe, or the Tou, the Stargate of Tou, Alpha Centauri, which is one of the Pointer Sisters, which is all about initiating energies. And this particular Stargate is about initiating things into the womb. And you're seeing here the mouse, the mouse can also, don't be a mouse, don't be a wussy, don't be a mouse. But this is also showing up in order for us to embrace this aspect of us and to not judge, to be of sacred neutrality and to say, okay, well, when it comes to this, I do have fears. Allow yourself to see it, witness it. It's not about getting rid of it. It's not about being completely free of it. It's more about how you approach these things. Like, how do you allow yourself to sit with the things, with your fears? And how do you allow yourself to witness, And it's almost like, yes, allow yourself to be the center of the eye of the storm of destruction that's happening around you. But allow yourself to be the eye, which is stay in the 0 point. Yes, all hell can break loose around you, but that doesn't have to affect you in terms of stress, in terms of fear. Well, you will still witness, you will still see. And this is a very important point. Don't mistake that being free of fear means that you won't see it anymore. You will bloody well see and feel it, but still in the way of how you allow yourself to face it. Does that make sense? Like, that's a key aspect.
Oh, yes. I feel like you're talking directly to me.
Yeah.
Nobody else. But there are others that are sitting with us are also saying the same thing. They are experiencing.
I'm talking to myself here. Like, I'm seeing a personal level, a personal layer within this reading that's only meant for me. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, you're staring me right in the face. And it's like, it's great because I know that this one, and this actually already came up within the session that I had with Mahari Wa'ata. The Marama already came up and it was working with me. And there is an invitation for us to look at the moon and to remember the moon, to remember Wahi, Waho, Wahi. Well, the memory of Waho and Wahi is, of course, interconnected. It's one story that they share. So connect to this energy, if there is a sense of feeling lost. Because this energy does not need to have the eyesight. It doesn't need to see in order to navigate. So I almost feel that there's also this level of there's something going on with our vision next month, even maybe, where it almost feels like that we're not able to see, like where we're not having a vision of the future, where we're not receiving things in the way that we probably would used to. But this is happening for a good reason. This is happening in order for you to not get distracted, like this, to disconnect from your track, like stay on track. Trust that you're able to walk this track, walk this path without your eyes. Like, trust. Like the surrender is huge. And the whale is showing up as a sacred patient guardian. And this is almost like the combination of the beaver, like the wombat and the owl, where I feel the whale is gonna take us exactly where we need to go in order to receive the new, to where we need to go to receive community and love, because the beavers do share a great sense of community. The beavers, sometimes they fall asleep holding each other's hands and these types of stuff. They are very family orientated animals. So just trust that you will find the exact moments of love and community that you need, even though they may come in unexpected ways, and maybe they come from a person that you wouldn't have expected this love to come from. And then also trust that the owl is going to lead you or going to guide the aspects of you that no longer serve exactly where they need to be served into. So everything's going to come out and return into the womb, like the new energies that we need, the love, the community, the connection, the child energy is coming out of the womb, in terms of that we need that in our life, and the things that we no longer need are being returned into the womb, because the womb, of course, is mother's vessel. And we, some of us who are within the Dragon Masters course and are familiar with the protocols of mother's vessel, the Waikara protocol, this is in a way a huge Waikara that we are experiencing. And this is interesting because I don't know if we had this coming up before. And I remember that just earlier today, I posted something on Instagram, which was a dragon with the black sun behind it. And I was feeling the black sun a lot. And I know the black sun is connected to the mother's vessel and the womb. So there's something that we are undertaking. And we probably already went through this lots of times, but we didn't notice it, that we were going through a collective Waikara protocol. Like with the dragon rite, And I do feel that this is happening.
What's really funny, as soon as you mentioned the Waikara, I don't know that Kahioku was watching the live right now. She texted me saying that her glasses broke at the exact moment that you mentioned the word Waikara.
What?
Yes.
Whoa.
I don't know that she's watching live.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Just a big bang outside. Yeah. And the katao, the energies of the waters are there. And we know what Waikara means, the light that protects the water. And it is connected to the marama. The marama, the waho is a water star. So it's time for us to fully remember and to embrace this energy. And to work with it again in the old ways. And it's interesting because I do remember that we had a conversation. I'm not going to go into the depth of that conversation that Tamaki and I had, but we were already looking at things that we want to present in the future, and this is connected to this. So that we actually tapped into this already a few days ago is no coincidence, that we felt, okay, we need to work on this, because there's knowledge that wants to emerge. There's Wairua that wants to emerge, which is connected to the days of life, the light of days. There we are. Yeah. And we can even see that within this card. Like when we look at this and when we remember the calendar and, the light year and the light of days and the kaha, and the child is holding this patiently. It's holding this knowledge and this mana, and it's about time. It's time that we that we integrate this. It's time that we remember this, because without the true memory of the Marama Fitu, the child cannot return. We need to balance out the sun and the moon. Yeah, I'll leave it as that. Do you have any questions or any comment, Tamaki?
I was taking some notes.
Yeah.
Let's see what's jumping out at me. The Kimuria. The Kimuria was the code that was jumping out at me right at the beginning as we're talking about that shadow card and that space in the middle and what Kimuria means. To hold each other in the darkness until the light comes, and that is a sense of home.
Yeah, I mean, that is connected. I mean, Kimuria is that first embrace, and if we look back into, mythology and the embrace of Sky Father and Earth Mother, that's the time before the light entered. That's the time before the space for the child was there, and then the space was created, and light was. And space was opened, and now it's time for us, yes, because we've experienced the light, we've experienced the known, or what we thought the known was, and now it's time for us to remember where all of that came from, and to integrate the paradox of the known and the unknown, because it's actually the same. Like, knowing everything and knowing nothing is the same. Like, coming to that space. And that's the journey home. That's part of the journey home. Yeah. The sacred embrace. And I do even remember that when I looked at the pearl, I had the code Mu coming in. And, I've been contemplating a lot about that code. And I do remember that I had conversations about that with Mauta, because I do remember we have Lemuria, we have Kimuria, and we have Mu. And we always associated with those times of civilization, But Lemuria is actually speaking to the civilization. Kimuria is reminding us of the essence of that civilization, which was the memory of the sacred first embrace, which is Kimuria. And then within that lies the essence of that, which is Mu, which is almost like, I always tuned in and felt it's almost like the sweetness of life. It's the abundance of life. It's the celebration of life. And when I was looking at the pearl, I was seeing the shell, which of course is a representation of Lemuria, which is a representation of the womb. And then I was seeing the pearl, and I was like, that's the essence. That's the, and that's where we want to go. That's what we want to taste. That's what we want to have in life. So really going back to that memory, even going further than the civilization, the memory of the civilization is the invitation. Because if we go beyond everything that's known, we will reach something that, is in the beyond, that is the beyond, which is that infinite yearning, that is where that infinite yearning is. And I do also remember that over the last weeks, I had a remembrance coming to me that's connected with Pa. So I'm going to share it, because that code, Pa, is connected to home, kingdom of heaven, also connected to Jupiter, which is Sky Mother. Jupiter in the Lemurian memory is Pa. So Jupiter is sharing that frequency of home. And I do remember that Muta also said Pa is everything that is nurturing, everything that's life-giving. And I had a conversation with him where I asked him, how would we speak to purity? Like, how would we express purity within the codes? Do you have an idea? Do you know that? And he said, that would be Pa. So the purity is also connected there. And I do know that we have a yearning. Maybe I'm the only one, but I don't think that I'm the only one who has a yearning for that sense of purity, to fully remember and to be fully embodied within the human experience. And I was connecting to the Muki Muki, and I was feeling the yearning within the Muki Muki for that. And I realized, okay, within the Muki Muki, that is already present. So it is. So the sacred weaving of the Muki Muki that we can experience is what is going to bring in, what is going to deliver that memory. You know what I mean with that? It's like, allow yourself to receive it within the Muki Muki, receive it through the Muki Muki, the sacred weaving of those energies. And the Muki Muki is very magnetic. You know, we are speaking about, well, in a way, this is again, you know, speaking about electricity and magnetism. And it's like those energies, electricity and magnetism, are going to bring us into this space where 0 point is, where like none of that is, but then also the extremes of both are. So allowing ourselves to receive things through the magnetics, it's also coming up. Yeah, the magnetics are huge. I mean, this is also connected to the magnetics. These types of energies is connected to the magnetics.
And this whole topic of flying blind has been coming through for me since January 4th. Now, I think maybe I mentioned this when we had our show on Sunday to share what had happened with Mauta. In the mapping that I do, I have a software that I use, and it's stuff that I've put together over the course of 2 or 3 years. And I went to go access it to help Mahariwa Ata with one of her missions, and I can't access my information. It's not gone, it's not deleted. I just can't access it. And I'm looking at it thinking, oh, well, clearly I don't need this other information for reference. I'm just going to fly blind because I already have what I need. And the bigger message that came through was, okay, now Mauta's gone. And you have what you need already. You're going to get through it. And this is, I would say this is definitely happening with March's energy.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. And, you know, even though it might all kind of feel dense, that's actually not fully what I'm getting from this when I look at it. It doesn't feel dense, like it doesn't feel dense. There's definitely a challenging aspect here, but this energy is showing up with this face, like, look at it, how cute it is. And also this one is showing up, revealing its cuteness, wanting to show us that, you know, the little things also do matter, and that we are allowed to just kind of enjoy this ride as well. It's the feeling. You also have the celebration energy come up, right? And also when I look at the tear, it doesn't feel like a heavy tear. You know, it doesn't feel like a tear that's dropping with heavy weight.
Sadness?
No, it's not sadness. It doesn't feel like it. It feels different.
Happy tear.
Huh?
Is it more of like a happy tear? A joy? Or is that revealing itself to you?
I don't know right now. It's like
Mhm.
it's more like the power, almost feels like the power of the single teardrop of compassion,
Mm.
which is Tani, the big dragon tear, and the one single teardrop that falls, which is huge.
Mhm.
Like I'm even wearing this, It's like it's one of my sacred necklaces that has been with me for quite some years. It's now 6 years or so that I had this one. And I do remember when I found this and how happy I was and how mesmerized I was by the beauty of it.
Mhm.
Just the single drop and what power this has. It feels like the memory of that single teardrop of the dragon. That's coming in, expressing the Tona Toke Waho Wahi, which is unconditional love, which is also connected to creation, of course, because those are the 4 pillars of creation. So there's something here again also emerging in connection to the ancient creation story. So there's multiple layers here, of course, as always. But it doesn't feel like a tear of sadness. It feels like something bigger. This can come in many shapes and forms. So it's not revealing this is how it is, because it has multiple ways of revealing itself, because it's connected to each individual and their own way of receiving and their own story. So yeah, I will be excited to maybe hear one or two of you sharing next month, in the next episode, if some of you maybe have experienced a moment like that. That would be so interesting to hear. Yeah. I feel this is it, and I feel we should shift over to the geometries.
All right. Well. Ta-da! This is your first time seeing this. I did not show you the preview.
Wow. We were just speaking about the teardrop. There you have it. Like, what?
It's very pointy this month.
And very much like heavy on the bottom, like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Oh, yes. So the main overarching message for this month, which is what I had put in my Instagram post, the quote from the Eternal Memory from the Wairua says, "Quantum clarity is gifted to you. Death reveals so much."
Death revealed so much. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does. We'll all have our firsthand experience with this. Observe the structure of this month's geometries, and what do you notice? They look very pointy, don't they?
Yep.
And this is the month of the Honu, of the turtle. And we do have one of the whale energies with the toho, the light of the celebrated one, and then the play of the dolphin, which we call rehu. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see.
This feels like razor sharp. This feels like laser beams. It's like right there.
Yes, it does. Very much.
Like so exact.
Mm-hmm.
And this brings to mind like this thing, like the little things matter, like precision. Like precision is needed. So this is where precision enters. Wow.
Yes. Yes. So for those that are joining after we explained these dates, because some of you have been working with these geometries for a few months, there is a reason the dates changed. We won't do the whole explanation. If you rewatch the live, you'll eventually come across it when we talk about February, when I get to this part. there is a different structure that we're tapping into that's deeper in the Light of Days calendar. This is going a little bit beyond how we were doing things for the last year. So just to real quick look at these anchor points, this is always going to be Sunday regardless of the date, and this is always going to be Saturday regardless of the date. So there is a deeper, I'm calling it the Light of Father. This is my first time getting to say this live. The 2026 Lemurian calendar is done and it is out. It's online. And the actual days that these are aligned to, the geometries aren't in there because I'm just doing them every month. I don't have the time to do a whole year of geometries. But this structure is part of the 2026 Lemurian calendar and will be moving forward, where it's showing a layer of the undistorted Wataka of that structure within the Gregorian system. So if you get the digital version, it's in there. And I do have names for each of the days, just to kind of speak to the movement, the ebb and flow of the energies. But it's also in the print calendar. There's a calendar that you guys can print at home, and it's literally the same thing as the digital calendar, where everything is on there and all the times from New Zealand with the dates and the moon phases and everything. So that's a quick rundown of why these numbers look different. It's still the same structure. It's just being approached in a different way. Now, in this here, we, of course, have Honu at the forefront. This is the time of the turtle. We got a lot of Tuatara energy. But then we also got transformation in the 0 point of the falcon of the Fatura. And in that 0 point, and this is something that comes up in the birth charts, where sometimes the Motu is in the 0. There are no placements of the Motu, and that's equally kryptonite and superpower, depending on how you approach the energy and how you engage with it. So that it's not missing. It is an abundance of Fatura medicine, which is the very sharp eyes that allow you to see what needs to be addressed. But there's like a straight line of support coming up through the transformation of the butterfly. Also very challenging energy. And then we have these cheeky guys up here, very sweet reptiles. And again, starting with the return.
One question, if I may. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
So with the motus that are sitting on top, like both of them, does it mean that they both are in that? No, it means that like the kaka, does that mean it's outside of light? Like, is it, or what does it mean? Because there's no lines to that. Just asking out of curiosity.
You mean this too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just the date. I forgot to put March. I forgot to put the word in there.
Good morning, Fiona. Okay, never mind my question. My brain's not functioning. Sorry.
It's okay. I got you. Turtle's got you. Same thing here in the return, which will always start on a Friday, on the light of the celebrated one. This will always be the following Wednesday, which is the light of the Wipaka of the crab. And this is so pointy. This is so pointy. And we have here, there is that Trinity that I had talked about with February, of the smile, the face of the father, and the eye of the falcon. Like coming face to face, and which is challenging in and of itself to come face to face with things. Circling around the He'a and the womb. There's the womb again in the middle. Now the message with this was, eyes will guide you through that you cannot see. Those are the exact words from the Wairua. The quote that they gifted me. I will read it again. Eyes will guide you through what you cannot see. And this is what it means. You write, and again, this is what I channeled Ride the wave with style. We are invited to trust our feet. Walk your Uma through nature, find some water, place a gift there, and the gift is something that you choose.
Wow.
That's why today's episode is called Surfing into March. Because this is what the energy is. That is the energy of the turtle. The turtle surfs through the magnetics of the water. It doesn't need to see anything. The two star constellations of the dolphin and the whale. They don't need to see in order to navigate. They navigate with sound, so they can navigate blindly.
Interesting also, you know, in terms of the whale showing up, which, you know, they do the same. And then having the bat as well showing up. Just sharing another aspect of that quantum navigator energy.
Yeah. And aligned to the waho, the turtle, the whale, and the dolphin are the guardians of the waho. And this was something that I had talked to Mauta about a long time ago, is, yes, the womb is an essence of the mother, and it is also the essence of the child. And the waho, the original moon, is also the essence of mother. This is what we call the angel's door in English. That's where the spirit comes to be in this reality. It's got to pass through the angel's door. So there's this other aspect of the mother coming through that was speaking to me when you did your reading.
Thank you for reminding me about that aspect, actually, because when we look at what was in the cards and that threshold and those apocalyptic energies, it's about the distortions that have been placed upon the entry of the children.
Oh my goodness, that's where the god of war sits in the zodiac.
Yeah.
That is part of the March energies of the Aries. And with the HUNA was split into the Pisces and the Aries descriptions and distorted. So you have this water being that's very oracle-like, that is able to lead everybody else because it can see what's coming. And that leadership quality was tossed over into the Aries. And now that system is being led by war, and that's been imprinted upon the child before it even comes out of the womb.
Okay, so I just had another epiphany, but I need to share that with you privately because this is not for everybody. But it's connected. So the whole thing that we've already looked at in the cards, it's connected, and the whole Waikara aspect, it's connected to the zodiacs. It's connected to the distortion that has been placed around this planet, and where the moon has also been attached to, like all the planets have been attached to that system. And it's about time for all of that to start being cleared. Like, it's okay, now it's time. That's the feeling. And it feels like there's this huge opportunity for us to cleanse that aspect within the kaha. And I'm going to share a little thing about, me working with the kaha system. This has been going on for around 2 years now, right? I mean, it was 2 years ago that I've sat down with the motu symbols, right? That was around Mauta's birthday, February. And ever since, the memory of the kaha has been coming to me. And in terms of how I am remembering things, it almost feels like I'm still looking at the toy kaha and remembering the actions of the toy, the undistorted actions of the toy, and the undistorted energies that are working or that are creating within that space. And I was observing that, it almost feels like that we as a collective have been upgrading this kaha point for over a year now. Like, it's been more than 1.5 years, and it feels like we're finally coming to to terms with things where things are now really shifting and where we are cleansing, like where we are really cleansing. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense because the sacred kaha is where creation energy itself is present. So that this is one of the kahas where a lot of distortion has been placed in terms of, harvesting attachments and energies, that want to suck out creation energy in order to fuel it into other creations and all of that. So this is all connected to the zodiac.
Oh yeah, and the distortion of that, if we get into the toy, and we just look at the mutu, for instance, and not even at the kawa, it's the falcon and the dove. And they're koha with each other. The falcon goes and finds what's out of place, and the dove takes it through the wahi, the sacred fire. So it can be cleansed and then come back through the waho as something new and undistorted. That's why, that's why they sit there. But that's where the distortion comes into play, where they took those very potent and very sacred energies and changed them. They distorted them. And that's now we're in the process of undoing that.
Yeah, and the moon is very connected to that in terms of what you've shared. This is the sacred door, the sacred stargate where the souls enter through. When they come to this realm, they enter through the moon, through the waho, not the moon, the waho.
Yeah. So the invitation to everybody is whenever you see that thing in the sky, you say, Waho, Wairu Atapu, means angel's door. I remember you. So you're speaking to the original undistorted code. It doesn't matter if it's some hollow space thing hanging up in the sky doing whatever it's doing. You can still speak to the origin of it. It's quite powerful to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean what Gabby is saying here about, energies like Enlil and all of that. This is time to let all of that go. It's we're invited to return to Lemuria, where we can let all of these timelines and memories go, because they no longer serve us. They no longer serve us. We don't need to know every detail in order to let it go, And I also remember that already in every episode of our oracle reading, the kaha card for the sacral has been showing up.
Yeah.
I haven't pulled any cards from the kaha deck today, but I can, once we are through with the geometries, I'm going to pull and see what kahas are present. But
that would be
this
hilarious.
is interesting.
So hilarious.
The clearing of the toy, and so it makes sense that precision is needed.
Yeah. March 14th, with right relations, we come to remember each other. So this is the moment where you sit in contemplation and silence and listen to the wonders of life. And one of the codes that came through was Daro. Now here's the significance of Daro with our conversation today. That's the Black Panther. With Daro, and this is coming from the Ojibwe, they have a star constellation that they call the Curly Tail, or I think it's also called the Great Panther. This same star constellation in the Greek is called Leo. Now, both of these animals are in the Panthera family, but in the Lemurian, over in the July time frame, kind of close to where Leo hangs out, we have Daro, which is the leopard. And if you have a spotted cat and it's melanated, it's called a panther, a black panther. So this is where I'm making this connection with the Black Panther card that was pulled earlier, is the Daro, which is the companion to the Uma, and coming back to the talking bird with the community. And going even deeper into that, the Kaka is one of the guardians of the womb, which is sitting on the other side of To, the other guardian of the womb. This Alpha Beta and Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, and you know, the Kaka is connected to the womb. It's connected to the voice of truth, because the voice of truth comes from the womb. It comes from the unknown space. That's where it speaks from.
So crazy. So crazy. So what we got down here on the enter. You're going to like this message. It's a jailbreak, the good kind. It's a good jailbreak. Not the bad kind.
It's about...
Yeah. So the invitation is that if you went out into nature on the return to go, you're invited to go maybe back to that same spot. You might get a gift. Or you're called to go wherever you're called to. You don't have to go back to the same place. Maybe you get called to go somewhere else. And perhaps there's a gift waiting for you. What is that? I don't know. That's a good question. It wouldn't be a surprise if I knew what it was. But also, I'm reminding myself, because in part of the download, I do include codes of what you could say, what you could speak to. And sometimes it's just the Waikara. So if you know the Waikara, then you do that. This one specifically talked about speaking to the Waho. I don't remember why. I think maybe I got the pendulum out and it was pointing to the Waho on the HUNA scope. And that's why I wrote it. That might be why. I don't know.
Isn't this just great how we just confirm each other's work? It's just...
Gosh. Yeah. The last bit here at the end of this cycle is a really interesting looking one. It's time to get to work. Wear your robes and dance and put on Bob Marley. And if you want to be extra about it, go listen to the Maori version of Bob Marley. It's called the Waiata. Something that Mauta introduced me to. Really, really good stuff. It's party time.
Yes, please.
Goodness gracious.
Wow.
So yeah, this is on my website, the download. It's the not colorful
and you know what?
version.
What's in...
Yep. Go ahead. Uh-oh. Where'd you go? Lost your camera. We lost you, Kahase. There you are. Now you're back.
Yep.
So we missed you. You were saying something.
Yeah, my computer was jumping off from the hotspot and into my... I hope my connection is good enough. Was my phone not charging? This is weird. Okay. So I just hope my connection stays stable. But what I was saying was that the Black Panther is going to arrive in LA sometime this month.
Ooh.
So this is just also an interesting alignment. It's about a Black Panther statue that I sent from Mexico over to LA. That's about to arrive with one of our HUNAs. Yeah. So that energy is big. Yeah. And the Daro, we had the theme of the Uma in January, right?
In February.
In February. So it's just continuing that work and intensifying it. And applying some kawa precision, you know, because this is the motu kawa that comes with the uma. And do I remember correctly that that's the masculine aspect?
The uma is the feminine aspect.
Yeah.
All of the umas are.
Yeah, I know. So the daro is then the masculine aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Because, you know, while I was doing the reading and talking a lot about the womb, I was still feeling the masculine energy of that as well. Like, you know, when we speak about the womb, this is not just something that the feminine has. Like the toi kaha is something that all humans have. All humans have memory of that space. Doesn't matter if you have one or not. So this is also something which is very, very important for us to remember. And yes, Hasamatere, Oma also means grandmother in German, but that's not the Uma. The Uma is starting with a U. So the Oma is something different, but still, yeah, there is a connection. And so this came through very strong. So for you to share about the Daro, it almost feels like, yes, you know, we need the womb warriors. It's almost like we need the womb warriors that are able to wield this weapon of purification. And I do remember listening to a video where an African elder shared about what the sacred blade or the sacred egg's head is about. That it is a weapon that is for the protection of the womb, and that is for the protection of the purity, the innocence. So it almost feels like that we're looking at those tools right there.
It's the origin of the scorpion energy. And that's just something that came through when I was with you on Cozumel for, actually, it was the day of silence. We saw the scorpion, and that was what came to me, was that's where the energy originally lies.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I had the other days, you know, yesterday, as I was doing that call, I was looking at the stone, you know which stone I mean. It was laying out there and I could feel it communicating that aspect to me. I was looking at it, I'm like, you're the axe head. You are the tool that is there to protect the purity. You're there to protect the innocence. You're a sacred tool of purification. And it was sharing that message. And now I'm looking at this. Yeah. There is an invitation for the masculine here in particular. And we'll probably know more about it by the end of the month. Beautiful.
So these are on the Quantum Navigator website. Our links are in the description of the video, the direct links, along with the recommendations for all of the other HUNAs in our work. It's not the pretty version. It's the print. It prints easy at home and doesn't use all of your ink version with all of the placements, so you can go play with them, go set them on fire if you want to. The choice is yours. And what is so funny? What are you laughing at?
I was just pulling 3 cards. And I was wondering...
I can see this in the preview.
I was just wondering if maybe the card is not going to show up this time around. I already knew that this one would show up. I was already seeing it in my brain, and then this was the first one to show up.
I'm going to put this up for you.
Oh, yeah. So this one was the first one to show up, and then this one came. I'm sorry that it's very hard to see the symbol in this lighting. I'm going to look for the other card where the symbol is more visible. It's this symbol in a very, very, very bright yellow. And it feels like, yes, it's you know, this is solar plexus energy. And then we have this one again. Like it continues to pop out. It's like the rocket is still in action. Like the rocket is still there. It's like, and it almost feels like with this card, you know, it's almost like this feeling of getting nuclear. Like if you would lay these on top of each other, it's like there is an extreme potency with these two working together and initiating us into action. And it's interesting because we had the Oma and the Uma. This shares the frequency of O, and this shares the frequency of U. U is about deepening, O is about opening, which also can come with this energy of because sometimes it can come as a surprise and it can be kind of like, you know, but all of a sudden you've opened your mouth. All of a sudden you're open. Like sometimes the surprise energy and even like the shock is what we need to open, you know? Sometimes we need that impact. And then we have the il. But it's just interesting because we had just in the comments the Oma and the Uma. So there was already a foreshadowing within the comments of this action. That we are moving light. We are moving it into the deep but we are also moving it into the open. It's like moving it out into the open. It's almost what I'm getting. So bringing first light out into the open. So yeah, this will be interesting to observe this within our systems. So these are the cards that are connected to the human energy system. So this is Toi Kaha, which is sacral chakra. This is solar plexus chakra, which is Tawahi. And this is Tanaro, which is the crystal eye, which is the third eye. Yeah. Just for all of you who like to observe energies in this way. So yeah, again, the invitation for everybody to take from from these readings and from everything, from the cards in particular, and whatever serves you, and also the invitation to go and look at it and take your own, like receive your own messages from it as well. I think that goes for both of our work. Because sometimes within these collective readings, there is a very particular and very precise message for you, for the individual. The possibility and the potential is there. So just encouraging everyone to do that if they feel that. And then, yeah, I feel we're about at the end, right?
Yes.
Or do we want to again invite people to share if they have something to share?
We could. If
Yeah, I mean, that invitation always is out there.
Yeah.
And what did we have come up earlier in this reading where
there was a question to ask?
There was a question. I'm trying to remember it. It was about something and how that would like play out or continue. I don't remember. So
was it the January?
It was in the January, yes. But I don't remember the question, so
that's all right. Maybe it's for next episode.
Well, maybe it's already answered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe it is already answered.
Yeah. We'll see. Otherwise, when we go through this reading again, we'll see. But yeah, I'm just excited to see how this is going to play out. Like, And I would be so thrilled to hear about some of your guys' experience with this. I would love to hear if some of these things were experienced, and how. Just sharing that, because if you guys share with us, that's a huge gift for us as well to see, to hear. Yeah. And again, just blown away by how these things work together. And we don't share things with each other beforehand. I have not seen these geometries before. Tamaki has not shared with me the messages that she had received, and the card reading is done live, so this is just happening. So cool.
Freaking
Beautiful.
magic.
Well, I'm happy that we did this.
Me too.
Yeah, very happy that we're here again. And in terms of the channel and what's up next is on Sunday, you can see here live on HOH TV, the Kahiwaha show at the time that we usually always do our lives. So for every one of you who loves to go into practices and action in terms of sacred practices, Kahiwaha is going to share something. I don't know what, but it'll be beautiful for sure. So that's the next thing. And then we'll have a sharing of the grandmothers. I have not set with them a date for that, but we'll announce that once we have it. And then you and me will be back at the last Sunday of March.
Yes.
In the usual time slot. Yeah.
Yay. And it won't be almost 3 hours.
No, this is wow. But I mean, I'm actually, it's actually not bad. And Kahioku is just commenting eclipse date. Yeah. When was that again? The eclipse? Do you remember? You had shared that with me prior going live, but then we hadn't mentioned it. Yeah, and in terms of the planetary alignment, Connie, we've talked about that earlier already. Yeah, that's happening today. Was it already this morning? No, I think it's tonight. So it already happened. It's in progress.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the eclipse.
The date? Yeah, me neither. But yeah, that's also happening, taking place. And it's a blood moon eclipse.
Oh, 29th.
29th. So that's
28th.
That's also connected. The blood moon is also connected to womb energy and all of that.
Or
clearing.
or it's the 13th. There's 2 eclipses. The 13th and the 28th.
What? There's 2? Okay,
yeah, there's a partial eclipse on the 28th.
Okay, so no wonder that the moon energy is so big. This waho. This honu motu, it's aligned to the moon. Of course, it's coming up. Beautiful. And then we also gonna have the tapu. We haven't even talked about that. The tapu is also within this month. Wow. The tapu window.
Oh yeah, that's one last thing. I completely forgot.
One last thing.
I
so the tapu.
Completely forgot that I have this. We'll look at it quickly.
Well, we got to make the 3 hours full.
Because I had it on a separate page. Ta-da!
Another pointy one. Wow.
The pointiest. 9 HUNA.
Mm-hmm. And I mean the window or the gateway, or however we want to call it, of the tapu is also not just the 20th, 21st of March, where we have the day and night being equally long. So also considering the first card that I pulled with the shadow and having that in full balance. So that was also already pointing towards the tapu, the moment of the tapu. I totally forgot about, yeah, that's March. So the window of the tapu is always that I feel like it's maybe about a week long. Like you have three days that are building up to it, and then you have three days that are going out of it. Like, so it's not just that one day in terms of the energies, but
It's like the moon
yeah,
energies. Yeah.
coming in and out of it. Good that we thought of that one, because that's a moment of sacred celebration. So it's party time. Yes. Already set the intention.
Time. Excellent.
Yeah. I've already set that intention for myself to kind of have a gathering happening for this moment. So that will be beautiful. So that's a beautiful invitation for everyone to come together and celebrate the return of spring and the return of the sacred energies of the seed and yeah, the new cycle. Beautiful. Thank you again, everyone, for being here with us, and all the beautiful comments, and yeah, being present. And thank you for everyone watching the replay. It's such a pleasure to do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, looking forward to you guys sharing about how your experience was with this. And yeah.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good to move, like to have things moving. Looking forward to eating some mangoes. Yes, so I think we'll say our goodbyes now.
Yes.
And again, thank you, everyone. And wa wa
Wow.
wa nui.